What is up, everybody? Appreciate the continued support for Isam. Number one, number still crawling up. You got less than 20 days now to still get in. Remember, those cards are a campaign exclusive, meaning after the campaign they will not be sold. But we got some things that we, of course, want to talk to you about. It kind of does tie into some of the Ripperverse stuff if you actually think about it. But if you guys follow me on Twitter, you've seen kind of the crazy meltdown that some people have had over the how Isam number one is doing and how everything's going on in terms of how we do business, and really the fact that people are mad and angry at me just because of what this kind of stands for and all that, yada yada. But I'm always having to I see or come across posts like this, and it really goes to show just how crazy some of these people are in terms of what they protect, right? And that is those mega institutions. Well, the companies are now tied to mega corporations, be it Marvel or DC. And I know there was once a time where pretty much every writer that wrote comic books, artists, that was kind of where you peaked at. You wanted to be an artist for Marvel. You wanted to be a writer for Marvel or DC or whatever it was. And I think with the introduction of crowdfunding, a lot has changed with how the game is and how creatives can really get paid off of their work. Now that requires some sort of level of how do I explain this? You can't. I think a lot of these people think too highly of themselves, and they're in for a rude awakening. Let's call it that. If they do kind of detach themselves from the big two and decide to do projects, or any major indie for that matter, and try to do their own projects, because it's not as easy as people like to think. And you find out really quick that just because you did some work for them does not mean people actually go read your stuff for you. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily the draw. I was just post here. It's kind of crazy. Puts things into perspective, though. It started with some person that's a writer. Many people think Pirate and Marvel and DC Comics don't hurt anyone because Marvel and DC are big companies and don't give money to capitalist overlords of some such. I get it. You think you're sticking it to the man, but what you're really doing is messing over creators. Now, I could see some of that. No matter what it is you do, obviously, I say this as an artist, where that can impede on your ability to do work, or the company's ability to make money. I can see kind of where that comes from, but it's hilarious because a lot of these writers are often leftists, and they're kind of faced with this kind of odd reality of how economics work. And, you know, a lot of the people that they appeal to or attempt to appeal to in this day and age are folks that are economically illiterate and often pro-socialist. So they don't really even care about they don't have your best interest in mind, let's say that, as a creative. And with stuff like what we did, right, I obviously appealed to people that had money, and this is why we got a lot of money. It was really that simple. But again, when you cater to a demographic of weirdos that don't actually buy product, and then anything that kind of gets in the way of that, be it pirating or anything, though I don't think it's as much of an issue, but you know, yeah, that's going to be what happens. You're going to miss out on some money. But look at some of these replies, because that was what the person tweeted. Here we have a retweet right here. It says, Marvel and DC could afford to take care of their creators. Piracy has nothing to do with it. The companies make billions off the IP creators make. The same creators dying in poverty is a bigger scandal than piracy. And I agree with that. I agree with at least that the latter half, but that's y'all's own damn fault. And by the way, this goes into what deals y'all get into contractually, and you know, the commission rate or whatever it is that you utilize, where you don't necessarily work for these companies. You're not on a salary, you're on a contract. So each time you get a gig, you know, you're signing a new contract, and they're paying you for that. Is generally how it would work anyway. So you're I won't say you're self-employed, but I mean, technically you are in terms of how that contract kind of works. Nonetheless, I can see where Marvel would make X amount of dollars off of this IP maybe that you created. Depends on what deals that you jumped in on, and they may be screwing you out of that. I mean, every time a show comes out, you hear some artists talking about how they got screwed out of the royalty deals. Someone also said, also judging what to support and cancel based on sales figures from pre-orders made 2 months ahead of time is an insane way to run a business. They talk about trade paperbacks from libraries as a way to support books, but trade paperback sales aren't factored in the pre-order figures. Well, y'all don't sell that well in terms of trade paperback anyway, so we've already seen those numbers. Not saying piracy is entirely moot issue, but the bigger issue is that these businesses these businesses aren't being run well in a manner that supports their creative talent as more than IP generators to use and discard. Okay, now this is where Alex DeCampi was a writer. I think she did some stuff with Dark Horse. Says creators who work for billion-dollar corporations shouldn't be having to run GoFundMe's for healthcare expenses or be working on books while in the hospital, both of which happen on an at least yearly basis. Every day, and yeah, we do see that. We see that like every day there's some new creative who's like, oh man, I need some money to do this. Please support my GoFundMe or something like that. And that is due to a bunch of different reasons. Now, some of it has to do with y'all don't sell, man. Let's be honest. I mean, comics, they like to pretend like they're in this good spot, but they're not. I mean, we went through all the numbers. This whole, comics are thriving. No, they're not. You're getting destroyed by manga. And even comparatively speaking, the numbers from last year are identical. Comic books, that is, are basically identical to 2016, right? You've seen no growth despite you've seen less sales, but because you increased the price between that time, you are comparable to what you did in 2016. They are not growing. They're not thriving. And it's a lie and a cult by so many different weirdos who want to pretend that that's the case because they don't want their enemies to be right. But this is something that y'all put on yourselves. Again, these billion-dollar corporate entities, you enter into those contracts, and this is all this job protection that y'all do, and y'all go at folks like myself or people that are doing stuff in independent circuit. That's the institution that y'all protect. So whatever commission rate that you're going by or whatever, that's on y'all. So if y'all's royalty deals are trash, that's all on you. Or if you even get one, that's all you. You wanted to work for these companies, and that's what you get. As far as the like, hey, they don't pay for your health care. Well, again, you're a creative, and more than likely you're working on a commission. Right, you're not salaried working for Marvel or DC. You're working on a commission rate. So why on earth would they pay for your health care? That's something that you would be putting money off on the side for you to pay for because you're a contractor, per se. See, these guys, like I said, are economically illiterate. But to bring this back home, what it shows is, despite all these gripes, this will be kind of out of pocket, or rather you wouldn't really understand if you hadn't followed my Twitter and you saw the back and forth, even with ridiculous comic pros, but how protective they are of that institution. And then out of the other side of their mouth will say things like this and complain that they aren't getting paid what they feel that they're worth, even for books that aren't really selling. That's y'all's fault. This is an industry that has left its creatives broke, right? And they crying that I got a 96-page, lovely book, right, for $35. And you got weirdos talking about, oh, well, he's overpaying. And then y'all over there griping and crying that y'all not getting paid. Well, people that work for Ripperverse, I can't say this. They get their commissions and they get them on time, and I'm paying them well. Despite me not having nearly the money that Marvel and DC does, I pay them well. Pay all my salary workers well. Pay all of the people that do the contract work, I pay them well. And it is what it is. Look at what y'all are protecting, and y'all are still going to do it, right? Because y'all still are in this mind that that's the upper echelon. And to be fair, if you detached yourself from it, you wouldn't sell anything anyway. Job security. That's all it is. Yo, I appreciate you as always. And if you're into comics or want to get into them, go visit Ripperverse.com, where you can check out my own comic book company, Ripperverse Publishing. Our first book, Isam #1, is currently up for pre-order right now. You can also check out the company trailer and the Isam campaign trailer so that you can make an informed purchase. We've cleared over $3.3 million in sales, and many of our supporters are viewers just like yourselves. And because of that, I have to thank you all personally, I do appreciate you. I can't wait for you to learn more about Isam himself and already fan favorite Yaira. We ship internationally, so no matter what side of the globe you're on, we love to have you as a customer. Much love and big thanks.